You too. How's
Awesome.
it going?
So it's good. Yeah. So I'm in Colorado Springs and it's storming outside, which is
I'm
nice
so
because I heard
jealous.
it's
It's like
really hot in Oklahoma.
I'm actually dying on the inside right now. It's like been over
I
100
know.
degrees
I'm
for days.
sorry. That's what I've heard. Yes. Well, before I get into some introductions, so tonight we're talking about religious trauma and what that is, what it means for us as individuals and a community and people being in the um, still being in a religious community or not. And just want to acknowledge like that I know that this is like a can be a tricky, hard subject. So we'll um, just be as sensitive as we can. And if anyone's like watching, just I've been at OFN for a collective years, and I grew up in Oklahoma and was a homeschooled conservative Christian growing up. So that was I like to say we were two steps away from like um, the cults that the Duggars were in, like the Bill Gothard. I can't remember.
IBLP.
IBLP, yeah. And so there's definitely some stuff there, from my past. And then I went to a private Christian school for college, and then after that joined like a charismatic church, and that's kind of where for me I think it was about 10 years ago. um it was like, yeah, just started kind of some deconstruction, and have just been in that space for a good 10 years or so, um of just trying to figure out what to believe and like what's going on. So I'm excited to talk to you, Brooke, because I know that you started the Oklahoma Religious Trauma Network, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're also a counselor, right, through the
Yes.
Cozy Corner.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to hear about you and kind of
Yeah.
a little bit of your journey and story before we get started, like with some questions.
Yeah, definitely. First of all, thanks for having me. It's
Yeah,
always so
thank you so much
fun
for
to,
being here.
yeah, get to talk about this stuff that's
Yeah,
not
same.
super exciting, but important, right?
It's so important. Yeah, I mean, and I know my family and so many people, yeah, just this is a relevant topic. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, incredibly relevant in
Yeah.
Oklahoma. I think about 70% of Oklahomans as of 2024 identify as Christian.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's higher than most states. So, it's definitely relevant here. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about me. I'm Brooke Larimore. I'm a licensed professional counselor here in the state of Oklahoma. I have a private practice um, called Cozy Corner Counseling Collective. And then in 2024, I started the Oklahoma Religious Trauma Network. Um, which I'll tell you a little bit about how
Yeah,
that
please do.
happened because every time I tell this story, I'm like, this feels like an out of body experience
All
because I'm
right.
like, how did I get from like here to here? I don't know. It's so
Yeah. Yeah.
crazy. But so yeah, so I grew up here in Oklahoma, lived here most of my life, grew up in I would say pretty traditional like Southern Baptist church, part of the Southern Baptist Convention. Went to Falls Creek, all those sorts of things was very involved. So that
Mhm.
was, my entire childhood, we were, in the same church. And then when I graduated from college, I decided that I was going to be an international missionary. Feels like a fast lay. Um, but that's what I set my sights on that. So I ended up joining this international missionary group.
Mhm.
Very charismatic, like you
Yeah.
said. A lot to be said about that,
Mhm.
but when I was in the midst of that, kind of going from country to country and all these things, I was like, I don't know
Mhm.
what I think. I think I'm starting to see things in a new light. I ended up getting really sick um, in a country very far away, and I was
Mhm.
hospitalized. I had to come home, and so I didn't end up finishing my entire like missionary tenure that I had set out to. But I came home and decided I was going to go to seminary, so I did. I have a master's degree from Dallas Theological Seminary, and I, went into it thinking I want to learn more. I really want to do like biblical counseling. That was kind of like where I started. And then as I was, having to take all these really intense classes and having to study the Bible very thoroughly, having to learn so much about it and translations and all these things, I really started seeing things start to unravel in my mind. I was like, I'm not really sure that I agree with the way that I've been taught about these things. I felt there was just a ton of like incongruencies. And then I started thinking and realizing, okay, like I think I actually have a lot of like hurt and trauma from things in the past with church and religion and religious people, spiritual leaders, things like that. And so I kind of started posting about it a little bit, like mostly purity culture. If anyone knows me, like if purity culture,
Yes.
it's like
I know.
I get so pissed about it. Like I get so fired up. So like I kind of started like posting about that, and I started having people that I grew up with, people that I had met in different seasons of my life that were like, oh my gosh, like me too. Like, thank you so much for saying it, because like I thought I was the only one.
Yeah.
And so that's when I kind of started like the wheels were turning, and I was like, okay, like maybe this is like a real problem,
Yeah.
And so that continued. And then when it came time to like, pursue like licensure for counseling, I was like, I think I really want this to kind of be my niche. I want to work with this population. I feel like there's a huge problem here and nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to try to solve this problem. I mean, there's literally a church on every corner here.
Yep.
And just so many people walking around with all of this unhealed trauma. And yeah, anyway, so I start my counseling candidacy. We have to do 3,000 hours. It's a whole thing. And I just like hit the ground running. I was like, this is what I want to work with. This is what I feel passionate about. And so I started doing religious trauma group therapy, which I've had numerous groups now. It's like one of my favorite things ever. And the very first group I had, it was a summer group, and they were like, we like could not believe that you were doing this. Like, this is crazy. And I was like, is it crazy? And they're like, no one else is doing it. And I was like, oh, okay. And they're like, we don't even know what therapists are safe around here.
Yeah.
They were like, we don't know.
Meaning like affirming therapists, or what exactly?
Well, I think there's a lot of Christian counselors. There's Christian counseling centers, which that in and of itself, not inherently bad, right? But then there is a lot of that, like when we're talking about like biblical counseling and having a biblical worldview, like that's going to lend a lot of people to say, I cannot affirm this client in their behavior because my belief system says that it's sinful. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So yes, definitely the affirming piece. But then also I think sometimes there's just this spiritual bypassing aspect, which is like not wanting to deal with certain hard topics and feelings. So we just say pleasantries like, this is all part of God's plan. Everything happens for a reason, those kind of things. But, just really not being people having gone to counselors or therapists that were licensed and having them basically like not unconditionally like hold space in a neutral way for them, or they go to a counselor that they do think is licensed and they find out that they're more of a pastoral counselor. They don't actually have the master's degree, the national exams, the licensure hours, like all of those things. So they're not always super transparent about that. And so that was kind of a wake-up call for me, because I don't think I had quite realized that, because I went to a seminary where we were supposed to be Christian counselors, but we were pursuing licensure. So it was more ethical in that way. But then I realized that was like a real problem, and that many of them were like, the last year I've been in therapy has just been healing from my past therapist. And I'm like, that's crazy. So they were like, we just don't know where to go for anything. Therapy, community, because if we don't want to go to church, where do you make friends around here? We don't know. So thus, the Oklahoma Religious Trauma Network.
Wow, yeah.
So I started networking with other therapists that work with religious trauma. I started a Facebook group with them, started planning lots of meetups, and then developed this website and started with the directory of therapists so people could go there to find someone that I had vetted. And I like discuss with other people like good vetting questions. And I've done tons of networking since with different like nonprofits and like community organizations, also with like different types of churches. They're typically more progressive leaning, but they're willing to actively help people heal. So it has turned into something really cool, but it's just, I still am just kind of, I don't really know how we got here.
Sounds like it came from a personal experience and a passion, right? And as so many things do. So,
Yeah, totally.
wow. I can't
That was
believe
a lot.
I just can't believe that I hadn't even heard of you. I haven't been in Oklahoma the past few years, but spent my whole life and have very similar stories. I didn't go to seminary, but yeah, I get that. So let's start with from your perspective, like what is like religious trauma? So can you kind of explain
Mhm.
what that is?
Yeah, so I always use this definition because it's my favorite.
Yeah.
And I know there are some other definitions in the works right now out there with different professionals that I know that are working on it. But from the Religious Trauma Institute, which was founded by Dr. Laura Anderson and I forget the other person's name, I'm so sorry. But this is what it says: the physical, emotional, or psychological response to religious beliefs, practices, or structures that is experienced by an individual. Key right there, because trauma is subjective and it's different for everyone. So, experienced by an individual is overwhelming or disruptive, and it has lasting adverse effects on a person's physical, mental, social, emotional, or spiritual well being, or all of the above. So, yeah, the response that you have to some sort of religious belief, practice, or structure that is becomes overwhelming and disruptive and has these long lasting effects on your life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Do you think that people can still be in their religion and like, or do they have to leave to like experience deep religious trauma? What have you seen?
I think they often have to leave to recognize that it's trauma.
Mm, interesting. I hadn't thought about it that way.
It's hard to see things when you're in it sometimes. I'm not saying all, some people do, but I think sometimes it in my experience and with working with clients, it's a lot of like looking back and being like, oh, like that's not normal. Like that wasn't good. Like I thought everybody's church was like that or childhood was like that. Yeah.
So, like that spiritual bypassing you were talking about with people, a pastor or people in leadership, kind of like brushing off concerns and problems. I'm trying to think of if you have a personal example, feel free to share. I'm sure I could share too. But yeah, go for it.
Well, and I actually wrote down a list of some that I wanted to
Oh,
mention.
please do. Yeah,
I was
perfect.
like, I told you that this was a good question to ask. So I was like, I
Yeah,
need to come prepared.
good.
So we could call these adverse religious experiences. If you've ever heard of like the ACE scores, like adverse childhood experiences, these are things that have those long lasting effects on our lives and can cause, issues as adults. You could say the same thing with this, like AREs. So these are things that are not necessarily healthy things that happen.
Mm,
So there is a humongous list, but this is just a
okay.
few. So this could be abuse by a person, so a religious leader or authority. That could be physical abuse. There could be sexual abuse. There could be name calling, verbal, emotional abuse. There could be authority figures that are condoning or permitting this abuse or sweeping it under the rug. That happens a lot. We've seen that coming out with things with the Southern Baptist Convention. We saw a lot of it with Catholicism in the last several years. These stories coming out. Um, there could be victim blaming. There could be requirements to suppress parts of yourself, whether that's your identity, sexuality, your intuition, your understanding of yourself, your critical thinking, your independent thought. If someone's making all the decisions for you, you don't really get a chance to think critically for yourself. This could be brainwashing, indoctrination, information control. You can only have these certain approved sources or you can only watch this kind of news or this kind of media. I'm sure you saw that a lot in homeschool culture.
Mhm.
We don't watch Harry Potter. It's like wizardry. We don't watch
Yeah.
That's So Raven. Like she's psychic, whatever. All sorts of things. Secular music. This could be, let's see what else. Purity culture stuff, very rigid gender roles, having females feel that they have to police their bodies to, I don't know, basically like not be a stumbling block for the boys, or that the boys are like these rabid animals that can't control themselves. Like purity culture is bad for both parties, honestly.
Mhm.
Um, This could be like also like shame regarding normal development in human sexuality and curiosity and those sorts of things, lack of comprehensive health care and healthcare education, sexual education, invoking fear of the rapture of hell, feeling the children having to feel this pressure in these altar calls. Like, that's a lot. Pressure to give past your capacity, money, time, resources, denying the need for secular support. We're just going to deal with it in house. We don't need police. We don't need CPS. We don't need any of that. We're just going to deal with it right here. So yeah, there's a lot, but that's a few examples.
Yeah, I'm curious if you've worked with primarily Christians who have like trauma, or have you worked with people from other faiths as well? Is this a collective experience you've seen?
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually talk about this all the time because I am curious why this is. So it is primarily Christian and evangelical. So like a little bit of Catholicism, not a whole lot, but mostly we're talking Southern Baptist,
Hmm.
Pentecostal, Assemblies of God, Jehovah's Witness, Mormon, sometimes Methodist. They're usually a little more progressive leaning.
Hmm.
So those are kind of like the main ones.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had anyone reach out to me for therapy or groups or anything that is like Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist,
Mhm.
Jewish. And I'm like, that could potentially be because of where we live, because there's not a lot of
Yeah.
other world religions in Oklahoma
Mhm.
represented. But that's not a trend that I see.
Yeah, yeah, or at least that's kind of what would be my assumption, but I wouldn't need to like speak to people from
Yeah.
other, like faith backgrounds to see, because I think it may just not be in our corner. Because everything you're saying, I'm like, I know, I mean, I have examples, right? Because I grew up in that culture. So,
The Bible Belt is unique. Like I know other
yes,
religious trauma therapists that work in different parts of the country, and they're going to have some different demographics, based on where they
right,
live. So, yeah,
right,
again, I can't say, but I know for here, even just the statistics will tell you like
yep,
it's like less than 2% is like other world religions here.
right, right. Well, it's still, in this in our area such a huge issue. So what like steps do you see that people usually take when it comes to either recognizing that there's religious trauma, or just like if you could give like a broad overview of what you've seen of,
Yeah.
yeah, just kind of giving us.
Broad overview, man, it's so different for everyone, but
I know, yeah,
if I
it's
had
all
to think of,
subjective.
yeah, I think if I had to think of like the themes or the broad,
Yeah.
like, I think there's usually some either big experience or enough experiences where someone just finally has enough that kind of breaks things open. Like something that really, like a catalyst that's like, oh, like it kind of snaps you out of it. Like, wow, like
Mhm.
maybe I'm not okay with this. Sometimes it's something really big, like a divorce or a death or some sort of abuse or assault. I mean, but sometimes it's just you get fed up over time with something,
All the
right?
little things add up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like there's something that kind of like breaks through the level of awareness a little bit and they
Mhm.
start to see like maybe the rose colored glasses come off a little bit. Like maybe there's more outside of this, right?
Mhm.
Um, and so I think a big part of that first step then is like just recognizing that there was harm and having our experiences validated because one of the craziest things is like I'll have people, you know, clients and in groups and things that we do and they'll share something absolutely horrendous
Mhm.
and they're just like so nonchalant and we're all like, excuse me? And
Yeah,
they're
and that's
like,
the
I
trauma
forget.
piece. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're like,
Yeah.
I forget that that is like actually really unhinged. Like,
Yeah.
or for the very first time, someone says, that's not okay. That was abuse
Yeah.
or that was not normal. And they're like, oh. So just like accepting and normalizing that and realizing that their experiences cause them harm, or other people around them harm. So they're like kind of like gaining that awareness. And
Mhm.
then I feel like a lot of times it's like, okay, we're processing through, we're healing, and then we kind of get skepticism
Mm.
enters the chat kind of thing. Like we're very like we can be hypercritical. We're like burn it all down. I don't like it. I don't like any of it. Some people are like, I'm burning it all to the ground. Some people are kind of pulling it apart, like brick by brick. But sometimes there's a lot of anger. There's a lot of grief. There's a lot of sadness for like what they thought their life was going to look like, or grief that they no longer have the comfort and security or community or the things that they had. And then I think once they make a lot of headway with healing, a lot of times that's when we're like, okay, what is spirituality going to look like for me now? And for some, it's, I don't know that I can ever step foot into a church or any type of organized religion again. And that's their choice, and that's where they're at, and that's totally fine. And then others are like, well, I want to explore other world religions because I didn't even know that I could. I never could. I didn't know there was all these things out there that exist. I just knew this one little corner of the world and what we believe. And so that kind of breaks their world wide open, and they have this experience of like, wow, like I have choice and I can choose what I align with. And then some people are like, no, I still vibe with like Jesus and like Christianity, but it needs to be more accepting, more affirming, more progressive. But ultimately, I think spirituality can look so many ways. And I think most of us, we long for something greater than ourselves. We want to be a part of like the greater whole. We want to feel connected to one another and to the earth and all of the things. So I think in order for people to find that healthy like version of spirituality, they have to go through all of this like healing first. And that's a very difficult process.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard because I think for me at least, I felt like, I mean, everything was just swept under. The ground just was like gone. Like everything that I had known, or I mean, goodness, it was from the worship music, right? That was like grounding for me to all of a sudden like I can't listen to that anymore because, or I can, but I'm choosing not to because of XYZ.
Yeah.
To, oh man, I used to read these books and I thought so highly of this person, and now like I'm really struggling and don't even know who to listen to. And it was like the things that it's just like that complete 180, and it just was um so hard. And so I'm like, yeah, can you help give perspective on like how to start to take steps towards healing? Not necessarily just for like me, but just for anyone listening that's, yeah, like struggling and still feels like that ground is just like gone from them.
Yeah. My therapist said this word once and it just like stuck with me. She said, it's like you feel untethered.
Hmm.
And I think about it all the time because, yeah, you go from having this firm foundation in this community and this solid belief of like, I will stand on this no matter what because I know that it's true. Right.
Right. Hmm.
And then you're like, well, now I don't know if it's true. Yeah. I think like you were saying, like the rug was like pulled out from under you.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant. But you lose a lot. I mean, some people literally are like shunned or like excommunicated. They lose everything. Some people, don't know where to find, like they don't trust people anymore, or, whatever. They don't know how to make decisions for themselves as adults because they were never taught to.
Hmm.
So I think the biggest thing is like, don't try to rush yourself through the process. It's long and it's slow and I mean, it's different for everyone. I'm not going to say everyone's like a certain amount of time, but we're grieving, we're processing, we're healing, we're relearning a lot. I mean, it's hard to kind of start from scratch when it comes to belief systems, especially like if you're doing this as an adult where your brain is like fully developed. So post 25, 26, something around there.
Yeah.
Something that I think was helpful and has been helpful for me and continues to be is just research. Learn anything, everything you can. Anything that's ever interested you, anything that pulls you or draws you in, like learn about it. We live in an era where we have access to everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything's at our fingertips, which can be bad, don't get me wrong. But I mean, just there's so much out there that we don't know of, and that, what might draw to you might be different for me, but just allowing yourself to learn, read books, documentaries, podcasts, meet people from different backgrounds, travel, do all the things that
Mhm.
maybe you might have been prevented from doing at some point. Allow yourself to grieve what can no longer be,
Yeah.
because that is really devastating. I mean, I feel like I talk about this just so like point of fact, but it is actually very devastating. And
It is. And I especially whenever people lose friends and family members, right? Because of whatever
mhm,
reason. And that's grief on a whole nother level. Um,
mhm.
so
And
that's, yeah.
you lose yourself,
Hmm.
who you thought you were, who you
Yeah,
believe
true.
that you were created to be, or why you're on this planet, or what your purpose is. I mean, you have to kind of
Mhm.
grieve and relearn that. So, another part that I would say, if I was wanting to encourage people, because this is getting really dark and sad sounding, um,
We'll end it on a good note for sure.
yeah, we'll pick up the pace.
Yes, we will.
Finding safe people. So whether that's in a religious or spiritual setting or not, like finding people that you are safe to question with.
Love
People
that.
that you can say, I don't know if I believe in XYZ anymore. And they're not going to go, like, they'll be like, yeah, okay, tell me about that. I'm
Mhm.
here for you. Like, we can talk about it. Like, I think that's so important, is just
Mhm.
finding people that you can talk about this with, because it's so lonely already. You need people
Mhm.
to like come alongside of you in it.
Yeah, I love that. And back to what you were saying about finding, I'm kind of interpreting it as finding joy and comfort in things
Mm.
that can ground yourself and bring you back to yourself. And
Yeah.
maybe that'll help kind of reshape um, identity and purpose. And
Yeah.
yeah, because I'm like, it does, it can become beautiful, right? Like we can use so many like Christian metaphors to then say, and then now you're whole again or beautiful or um,
Restored and
restored. Yeah.
yeah,
See,
reclaim.
everything's still so ingrained in me. It's so funny. Um, which makes me kind of think to finding spirituality again. You kind of touched on that
Mm-hmm.
earlier. Um, but yeah, how do you suggest like seeking spirituality and finding yourself again, whether that's with trying a different kind of church or not? What do you see as helpful in that?
I think it's important to recognize why you're searching
Mm,
or what you're searching for. So some people it is purely the community aspect. Some people it's more of like the ritual. They love the liturgy and the communion, and they love the beauty of those traditions. Like some people it's, I want to feel like somebody or something is watching out for me, like that I
yeah.
can connect to. Um, and so I guess it's like, first of all, like, what are you searching for and why are you searching at this point? And then I would say, again, like finding those safe people that you can ask those questions. Like if you go to try a new church or a temple or a synagogue or whatever,
Mhm,
and you feel like you can't ask questions about their beliefs there, like that's a red flag, in my opinion.
mhm,
So when you go and you try new things, new experiences, or go to a new church or whatever, like I think it's really important to try to tune in with yourself. So like if you're, because like we've put, like with the Religious Trauma Network, like we put out some, like this year for Pride, we put out a list of some churches that are affirming in here in Oklahoma City that we've built good relationships with,
mhm,
and we have to put a disclaimer of like, this may not be like the safe haven for everyone though, right?
mhm,
So like you need to be checking in with yourself. You need to be like noticing what you feel in your body when you go somewhere new. If you're like, oh, I can't, like I feel a pit in my stomach in here and it's not just like normal nerves, like
mhm,
something feels off, or talking to this person, it didn't seem genuine, or I don't feel like I could be my authentic self here. Like just really noticing where you feel safe
I love
and
that.
like follow that. But so many of us are so disconnected from our bodies because of religious trauma that like that's a
Mhm.
whole other layer of healing that you have to do to be able to even trust your intuition. So,
Oh my gosh, yeah. And that makes me think, what can these, because we have partnerships with a lot of faith communities and faith leaders. Like, what can these faith leaders do? Because I know probably some of the churches that that are affirming and more progressive, we also partner with. So what can
Yeah.
people do to, I mean, first, I'm sure recognize, right, that people are coming with this hurt and this trauma, but yeah, what can these faith leaders do to help welcome and guide people that are coming from such a hard spot?
Yeah, and you know what? Like something that's been so healing and like restorative for me has been so many of those faith leaders asking me that question. Like
Oof.
that like healed something in me. Like, to
Whoa.
be dramatic, but like that healed something in me because I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
like they actually care. Like these people, none of us are going to be perfect with it, right? I'm never a perfect therapist. Like we all know, it is what it is. But they are actively trying and seeking to allow people to come in, question, ask whatever they need, talk about their hurts, like help give them a safe haven, and just kind of like literally meet them where they're at, not like come as you are, but then we're gonna change you. Like actually come as you are.
Mm, yeah.
Not to be sassy with it, but
No, but seriously, yeah.
that has been so beautiful to me.
Wow.
Like, because regardless of where I've been in my journey, I've always wanted to find those safe spaces to offer
Mhm.
to people if they want them, because we all end up in different places where we're, and if someone wants that space and that spiritual experience, like, I want to know some options for them. And so it's been so incredible for them to ask and to genuinely want to know. Like, here in a few weeks, I'm going to be going and speaking at a conference for, ELCA, so it's like a branch of like the Lutheran Church, so they're more progressive. But I'm gonna go and like speak to their clergy about religious trauma and trauma informed care and like just things like that. It's just been like honestly
Mm.
so amazing. But golly, to answer your question finally, I
You
think
did.
well, yeah, it just brought me back to that. Like, I just have felt so much awe from that because it's just
Wow.
so beautiful. Because I know so many that are like, religious trauma, really. These people just left the church because they want to sin. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, yeah, because religious trauma and deconstruction, like, that's honestly so fun. I've just had so much fun with it. But I think one of the best things that faith leaders or people in churches that are wanting to like welcome people in and genuinely like meet them where they are, like, don't assume what religious trauma is or what someone's trauma looks like or what
Mhm.
kind of hurt they've experienced. People, when we talk about trauma or religious trauma, they kind of like imagine a few different experiences when
Yeah.
there are so many. So don't assume where someone's at or where what they think or what they believe. Like, just get curious and ask them. Listen to their story without trying to fix it, without trying
Mm.
to attach a scripture to it or try to make it all better. Like, just sit with them in it. Just hold the space.
Mm.
I think that's like the number one because that's how people are going to connect and feel safe and feel like they can be vulnerable with their questions.
Mhm. Oof, that is so powerful.
It's important. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's super encouraging. Man.
Another thing I would say is like not put pressure on attendance, commitments. A lot of people are going to shy away if they feel like anyone's pressuring them to volunteer, or be a Sunday school teacher, tithe 10%,
Mhm.
become an official member. Like, those are going to be things that a lot of people are going to be like, ooh, like, that brings up a lot. Like, I'm activated. Like, they're like, I'm not doing that. So, just allowing people to be participative in the level that they want at that time. And obviously, like, that will likely change, but and just not feeling like they have to commit because then it kind of takes them back to that place of like, well, I'm stuck and I feel like I
Mm.
have to be here due to an obligation. And is that genuine spirituality? I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. So to kind of wrap up, I'm just thinking about just like the hope that what you said of people like these faith leaders like asking you and sitting down with you. What kind of last encouragement or piece of hope can you offer people that are in the trenches or kind of getting out, or even like to the faith leaders who also may be struggling, right? Because it's a deeply emotional thing, I'm sure, as a faith leader to see people struggling. Yeah, is there anything else you would like to add on that kind of hope aspect?
Yeah. I heard this at a counseling conference a couple months ago, and I never heard anyone phrase it like this, but she said, "Hope is not the light at the end of the tunnel. Hope is the light in the tunnel.
Mm,
It's the little bit of light that breaks through so that you can see and keep going, you know?" And so I think like clinging on to those things, whatever that
mhm,
looks like. First, I want to commend the pastors and the clergy and the faith leaders that we've discussed and that I've connected with for being that for people
mhm.
and for trying to help people heal from a hurt that they likely weren't the ones that caused it, you
Mhm.
know? Like
Yeah.
someone else's stuff, like they're taking on. And so that is really heavy. I know that. And so like I just want them, like all of you, to know I see you and we appreciate that so much. And want you to know we back you and we're here. And then for everyone else, like I think the biggest thing that you need to know is that you are not alone in this. It is such a huge problem here. Um, I think if you can't tell, I love statistics. About 35% of people, this is in like 2024, have like left the religion they were raised in, um, and either gone to something else or become, agnostic or atheist. And I don't think that's a coincidence. Like that's like 1/3. Like that's a lot of people that are leaving, and they're like, why are people leaving the church in droves? And I'm like, well, because there's a systemic issue here. um oh, we got a question there.
Ooh, I didn't see it.
Is there a specific way you help clients reconnect with God or a higher power that is separate from the God they were taught? Ooh, that's a good question.
Ooh, that's a very good question.
Yeah, I mean, I think, ugh, man, that's so deep. I think sometimes that looks like God is no longer just like he, him pronouns that I was taught. Like maybe God doesn't have a gender. Maybe God is, whatever. Like why does God have to be put in a box?
Mhm,
Um, some people move away from, believing in one particular God. Some people move more into like the universalism piece of like it's all maybe the same higher power, just different labels and types depending on where you live and where you were born around the world. Um, but I think it's just allowing people to really like find their identity and figure out who they are authentically and then what makes sense for them. And it's just such a complex thing, but spirituality I think is supposed to be very personal. And it's not
mhm,
always, right? We don't always have that opportunity for it to be.
mhm. That's good.
Yeah, there's so many ways that can shake out though.
Yeah, and I was thinking just about nature and how
Mm,
connected I think we are like to the earth. And I know for me and also other people that I've talked to, that has been a steady anchor, right? Literally grounding. But being in nature, and so um yes. Okay, another question. Are there small ways people can be more embodied and practice listening to and trusting their instincts and body?
man, cat with the bangers.
I know, this is
Um,
good.
yeah. So I think, I mean, there are so many things that a lot of people that grew up in more high control, high demand religions
Mm,
um, struggle with when it comes to listening to bodies. I mean, that can be as simple as listening to like hunger cues. There's actually a really big, not spoken enough about pipeline with purity culture and diet culture, eating disorders, disordered eating. Um, so like really paying attention and like trying to do more like intuitive eating, listening to what your body needs. And that's something that if you've experienced diet culture or you've had struggles with that, like that is obviously like eating disorder treatment is so niche. You need to find a therapist and treatment program that is
mm,
specialized in that. I'm just gonna say that it's not the same as like general anxiety or depression. Like that is specialized. Um, I think a lot of people find help with that doing somatic practices like yoga, like Pilates, getting out in nature, um, doing things where you have to slow down and be quiet and still. You're more likely to like listen and think deeply when you're not scrolling on your phone and doing all these things. Somatic therapy can be really good as well. There are certain therapists that are more heavily trained in that. There are also different types of practitioners that'll do workshops and things. So I think keyword being somatic, if you want to just Google things, somatic is going to lead you down that path, like connecting with my body. Um, like learning to do like polyvagal exercises, doing a lot of like deep breathing, learning how to do that. For some people, this healing comes a lot through things like pelvic floor therapy, especially if we're talking about purity culture. A lot of people struggle with that area, so that can be a good way to connect to your body. But yeah, I mean, just mindfulness practices, somatic practices, things that make you slow down.
I love that. Yes, we need that. It's so hard to slow down and just be.
In our culture, definitely. It's,
Mhm,
yeah, yeah, this culture is so fast. So
mhm.
that's a big thing.
It is.
Oh, she's
Okay,
typing again.
love it.
I
So
didn't
funny.
even know. I didn't even know Kat was still with us. Oh, okay, yeah. Is there so the Oklahoma Religious Trauma Network is a bunch of therapists. Sort of. So I'm not even gonna lie. The website is under construction right this minute, but you can find us on Facebook and Instagram if you want to look. So we have a directory of therapists that work with religious trauma. So that is kind of the main part of the site. And then we kind of have a community where I try to pour into them and we network and, find that space with each other. Um, I also have done trainings. Sometimes we'll do those for therapists or clergy or faith leaders. Um, we also do community events. So the last few months we've been doing speed friending events, which are so fun. And I know like most of the people that show up are introverts, which kind of surprises me because I'm very extroverted, but they're all like, we're introverts. So I'm like, wow, you really showed up for this? That's crazy.
It's
But
amazing.
my friend Lauren, she's also a therapist. She and I started kind of this series of events called Rebuilding the Village. And the purpose of that is like we've seen how many clients and people have lost community once they left church or left a certain religion or type of church. And so we're like, how do we help them rebuild this village? How do we help them find like-minded community? So we've been having these kind of religious trauma informed speed friending events, and they've been so fun. And then we like match them with people after. So that's been a blast. So we do things like that. We do quarterly community volunteer days because for some people they really miss the like going and volunteering with church groups or kind of like humanitarian mission work. So last time we went to City Care and we volunteered with them. We've worked with Sisu, the youth shelter. So it's we're trying to do things where people can meet other like-minded people and kind of like we all need a village, so we're trying to rebuild it. So we do those sorts of things. I'm trying to think what else. A lot more coming down the
Whew.
pipeline for sure. Yeah.
Sounds like you have your hands full.
Yeah, it's been a little busy, not gonna lie. Yeah, but it's been so amazing, and yeah, I just never saw any of this coming, so it's kind of crazy.
No, like that's so fun. And if there's no more questions, oh, there we go. Where's the best way to find whatever you're doing next?
Oh, such good questions. Yes, so since the website is down, I would say just follow our Facebook page. It's just Oklahoma Religious Trauma Network, or our Instagram, which I think is at OK Religious Trauma Network. I always try to make sure we post everything on there, and then you'll be able to access the website there too as well once we get it back online.
And then Instagram too, because I know I was snooping around. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I think it's at OK Religious Trauma Network, but I'm sure if you search, like, you'll find it. Yeah. So we've got Instagram
Yeah.
too.
No, that's awesome. I was loving looking through all your stuff. And not gonna lie, it kind of made me want to live back in Oklahoma.
Aw, that's
So,
like the best compliment.
right? I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I think it's what I mean, I know just being in the position I've been in, like, that's what I would want. I would want like speed friending. And so I hope people listening, find you guys and take you up on that because those are wonderful ways to find community again after
Yeah.
all the all this stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's truly an honor and a privilege, and I'm just like in awe that I get to like kind
Mhm.
of help bridge that gap every day. And thank you all for what you do here too. I don't even know what all it entails, but what I've seen so far, I'm like, this is awesome. And I love that you're having these important conversations.
Yeah, me too. Kat is on top of it with all the conversations that we try to host
I
live and then
love
they're
it.
restreamed. So, but seriously, thank you for coming tonight and sharing and helping enlighten, um, and just like for all you're doing. Like this is an area that is so needed, and I'm just so happy that Oklahoma. You're in Oklahoma City, I'm
Mhm.
guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Oklahoma
my
City.
office is in Norman, but I'm
Okay.
all over the place.
Yeah, OKC Metro.
Yeah, Metro.
The Metro. Um, yeah, has this. So thank you so
Yeah.
much, and it's been so great chatting with you. So
Yeah, you too. Thank you both for having me, and I hope that we get to connect more in the future too.
yeah, I hope so because this has been wonderful. So
Enjoy the way nicer weather that you're
oh,
having out
I
there in
know.
Colorado. I'm so
Yeah,
jealous.
I'm happy to be here and happy that I can work remotely
Gosh.
with
Yeah,
OFS.
what is the
So
temperature there today?
okay, let me see real quick.
Yeah, let's see what ours is right now. It's probably
I
heinous.
know. It is 82.
It's
Yeah.
99 right now, and it's
Ugh.
almost 8 p.m.
Yeah, no, that's not fun. But it's actually 10 degrees above average.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna say that seems a little warm, but
it's been a really warm summer, which I was like kind of mad about. So, but hopefully the fall is nice. So
I was in Colorado Springs last fall, and it was lovely.
yeah,
So
the fall here is my favorite.
enjoy. I will be
Thank
pretending
you.
I'm there with you.
Come visit and let me know if you do.
That would be awesome.
Okay.